I was actually a late bloomer in a way. A lot of people start getting tattoos, like they get their stick and pokes and stuff like that when they're kids. I think my first tattoo, I was almost 20 years old. Actually, that's not true. I was 19. I got a tattoo on my ass. It says 666. It's an homage to SLC Punk, right? There's a scene where they're in the convenience store and the Christians are all over him and he pulls his pants down and he's got that 666 on his ass. And I'm like, I want that. I don't know if I've ever mooned anyone, but the opportunity is there. But then I started getting into like neo-trad stuff. My first one was a Bad Religion. Well, it's kind of a Bad Religion tattoo. It's kind of a straight edge tattoo too. It's on my leg from Against the Grain, one of the great punk albums, right? So it's this corn and it's got this arrow going. And I wanted it to be kind of like an X, kind of like straight edge sort of thing. Because I think in a way that is against the grain.
We've quickly progressed toward other things. You've done suspensions?
Yes, I've done suspension 4 times. So the first one I ever did is called a suicide, where you do it on the back of your shoulders. And I didn't love it. I actually didn't love it. And actually, the first time I saw hook suspension, like the concept of it, I wasn't like about it. I wasn't really into it. So there was something that changed somewhere, because my buddy Josh, who I played music with, he was showing me pictures of his, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. So I went with him and yeah, did it on the shoulders. I don't like swinging around. I don't like spinning. I don't like that kind of thing. I'm not really about that. It makes me too dizzy, it's just like a little too much for me. So I probably have body dysmorphia, like, to be honest. And my stomach is a part that I just don't like about myself. And so I did hook suspension on my stomach. It's called a resurrection because it's supposed to look like you're like rising from the grave. And we did 4 points. It was like here, 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 and here. I loved it. That was like, I loved it. Like I really felt it at that point. And like, it was very meditative when you're up there and, you know, you get this rush of chemicals in your brain and you get a glow for like a month after, because the way I describe it is like when you realize like you can push your body to that limit, you realize bodies are so cool. And guess what? I have a body. That means that I'm cool. The last time I did it, I did what's called a coma. Like it's all the way up your body, legs, thighs, stomach, chest. I pierced my cheeks. Usually people do their forehead to keep their head up. I wanted to do the cheeks. So we went straight through with these big fish hooks and yeah, I just loved it.
Can you attest to the post-resurrection glow?
I don't really remember it.
It was a while ago. It's been a long time since I've gone up.
You seem like you have a much different relationship with pain than most people.
That's a good question. The pain is temporary. That's always been my policy with tattoos, is like, look, if I can just get through this pain, it's not like it stays with you, you know, and then, but the art stays with you. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I kind of relate it to music in a way, like, you know, all the practice and all that stuff, it stays with you. You know, you don't have to do it again. Tattoos are, I don't know, it's funny. They're permanent, but they're not permanent. Like I'm gonna die someday and all my art is gonna be gone. For now, it's something that I get to live with the rest of my life. The pain you don't have to live with. So like when we did my head was the worst out of any that I've had. We just went little by little and you test your limits. I wanted to sit for 4 hours. I sat for 2 and I tapped out. And that was the shortest tattoo I ever had. You know, with the suspension, it's kind of amazing. I do have videos of that coma and I have 4 people piercing me at a time, and then they gotta shift position and do the other 4, and then we do my cheeks one by one, and it's like I got videos of those and I don't move.
Are you just lying there like that?
Yeah. You just lay there, and it's something I couldn't do to myself. But with somebody else doing it, I think I can take just about anything almost, it feels like.
You've done some scarification as well, right?
Yes. So the scarification, I walked into it having heard that it's worse than a tattoo. It feels like a tattoo. So they take a scalpel and they do the outline. At least for mine, they did the outline. And then what they did, they rubbed this blue gel on it. And that was like a lidocaine maybe or something like that. Because what they have to do next is take off the skin in between. And it feels like a tattoo. It doesn't feel any worse. It doesn't feel any better. The worst part is when you go home and shower. It doesn't matter what the temperature of the water is, that burns because you have an open wound, and it's really an open wound. And what's interesting is, for my scarification, we went a little bit over where I had a tattoo, and it actually took the ink out because it goes deeper than the layers of skin that a tattoo goes. That's how much of an open wound it is, you've taken several layers of skin out. And I wish I knew more about, just how deep a tattoo goes and how deep a scarification goes, but I know the scarification goes deeper than the tattoo. So it's amazing. It's really transformative. I feel like this is who I am, is a tattooed person, as a person with body mods that, I explore the limits of my body, and I'm not always successful at it either. Piercings, I'm bad at healing piercings. I've had my bridge done twice. I've been, if you include suspension, I've been pierced over 50 times in my life. All I wear is a septum, my lobes. I've got half a vertical industrial because I took the other half out. I've got my frenulum under my tongue. I have a double dido that's on my dick. I got 2 piercings there.
Is that like a Prince Albert type deal? Or?
No, so if you have the head,
Charming conversation.
Right? Yeah, if you have the head, it's like here and here.
Bring it in a little closer so we can
So
see.
yeah. So you got you got your dick and you got your head. It's like here and here. Yeah, and it's fairly rare. If you Google it, you're not really gonna see a lot of images, and that's what I'm into. Like I'm about pushing those limits and seeing, doing things that not a lot of people have done. It really has helped me reclaim my body as my own.
What does your family think of all this?
Oh, my family didn't know about a lot of it. Like, they don't know the extent of it until one day I was talking to my mom, and I was just like, I should tell her some of the stuff I've got. And I told her about my nipples, and she said, Kyle. She said, I just remember she said, Kyle.
You got them cut off.
Yeah. And I'm explaining it to her and saying, well, I got them in a little jar, and like I still have them. They're just not on me. I don't know what she makes of it. She told me once, just don't do your face, and I haven't done my face. So I don't know if that's because I don't desire to do my face right now, or because I'm truly respecting that boundary. But she said, don't do your face. The rest of it, I mean, I grew up with, having a mohawk and dyeing my hair and wearing silly clothes and cross-dressing and, just being a goofball. So this is just an extension of that, I think, is like just being different, I'm a middle child. I've got 2 older and 2 younger, so I kind of fly under that radar.
Julia, let me ask you this. You've been with this guy for 4 years. Did he have all this when you met him?
He did, but not to the extent that it is now. So like when I met him, I would say like this arm was still not done.
Yeah, it was bare.
He hadn't done suspension yet. He didn't have as many piercings, at least like on the ears. Like I said, he was more into the like getting animals tattooed on him before it shifted into the geometric stuff. So yeah, it's
a lot more conceptual now that now I'm trying to get into like different concepts that aren't just like, oh, that's a cool animal,
When he comes home and he's like, hey, there's a scarification thing called the resurrection. I'm really, how'd you feel about that?
Well, I actually went with him
Really?
the first time he did it. So it was just as new for me as it was for him. And I was pretty fascinated by it. Like, it's not something I'd probably do for myself, but I really liked watching it. And I like seeing other people's first time experiences with it, because a lot more people were hesitant than him. He was like just full on, like, let's do the whole thing. Other people could only handle like doing their back and then calling it good.
Do you admire that courage he has?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. How'd you meet him?
So we met when we were teenagers. I was, 14. You must have been 16. It was like Evergreen. They do like their lake concerts every year. This guy with a mohawk walked by me, and that was Kyle. And he said, I like your hair, because at the time I must have had blue hair or something. I was also always dyeing my hair when I was younger. And then because we have mutual friends, I think we added each other on Facebook, and we were friends for years after that. Yeah, I've known him for like over 10 years at this point.
What do you like about him the most?
He's actually one of the most giving people I've ever met. So I think that's one of my favorite things about him. Yeah.
That's sweet.
What's
That's sweet. Thank you.
Same question to you. What's your favorite thing about her?
Oh, my favorite thing about Julia, it's honestly, and this might sound cheap, but it's your creativity. You're very creative. You're always exploring new things. You're always trying new things. You know, when it comes to fashion, you told me you want to grow your hair out. You've never done that before, you know, and it's like just the idea of like you want to be creative and try new things and explore this fucking huge world around us. Like I think that's really amazing.
Do you ever dress them up in your clothes?
They don't fit me.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to break them.
There's like a couple sweaters you could fit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You like art, obviously, being into fashion. Do you like that he's kind of adorned with it? Like he'll come out and be like, "Hey, my chest now looks like this."
I do like it, yeah.
Because these are things you do for you.
Yes. It's definitely for me.
Do people in public perceive you a certain way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. People, and I will say it's generally positive. People don't come up to me and say, "Hey, you look like a clown." You know, people come up to me and say, "I like your art." You know, and who did it, and where did you get it done? And people are always asking, "Did it hurt?" And I have a mixed reaction to that because it's like, well, yeah, it hurt, and it was my worst. It was definitely the most painful because I used to say. Which one hurt? People ask which one hurt the most. It used to be the last one I got because that's the one you remember the pain from. But now it's my head. I remember the pain from my head. Nah, people are very positive about it. We just got some dumplings up in Boulder, and the waitress said, "Oh, I love your tattoos." You know, and that's sometimes it's that little boost that's like, "Oh man, that feels good." Like, you know, people like the choices that I've made in my life and people respect the choices I've made. You know, I've had old ladies come up to me and say, "Oh, I like that art. Oh my gosh, look at the flower on his neck." You know, and it's like that kind of thing is like, wow, like it's definitely becoming more accepted. You know, it used to be you're either a sailor or a criminal if you got tattoos, and now it's like, I think I read like 50% of people in the US have at least one tattoo. Now I'm just getting into like conceptual black work, blackouts. I'm doing a blast over on my arm. You know, my spine is entirely blacked out. I got to figure out what to do with the rest of my back.
I want you to look at him when you answer this question. Look at each other, actually. Okay? It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell him why you love him.
I love you because you're an amazing and gentle human being.
That's sweet.
Now you do the same to her.
I love you because you're creative and you accept me for who I am, as much as that has changed over the years. And I think you're very adventurous. And I love that about you.
Thank you, guys.
It's so hard to look at.
The nervous laugh.